Welcome back to the up and down matches. We have up next Happy versus Vampire.
Both players already lost their first game today, so they are really desperate for a win here. And we'll find out who is able to get the second win. Here is the current situation in the group. Greater Prime, Vampire, and Supernova have won one match so far, and that already corrects my mistake right now, of course. Vampire won.
Yeah, it was Killer who was the Protoss who fell so far. And we'll see how Happy does here against Vampire. Being down a game is really going to put him in a little bit of a frustrated situation, especially considering he lost to Protoss already. And he's got to face another one right here, right now. Vampire's showing a lot of intelligence in his play against Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm looking forward to seeing him in another matchup. It just seems like this guy is playing against a lot of Zergs right now.
Yeah, so despite the minor mistake that I just made, we have not two players that lost their first match. Happy lost his, but Vampire was able to win. Now, this is a very important match for both of them. Of course, their early matches always are. And if Vampire gets another win here against Happy, then he will be 2-0 in the group, whereas Happy is down 2 maps already and finds himself in a dire situation. The GIM player has to really come through here on Metropolis. The map is loading. This is the GSL up and downs. And our next map, the match is Happy against Vampire. Let's go. Starting to the right side of the map is our Terran player for LGIM. He lost to Creator. Will he be able to defeat the second Protoss player? Here's
LGIM Happy.
So far, only mildly amused.
Yeah.
Not a single smile on his lips.
And every time I see Happy play, all I can think about is his eyebrows when I look at him.
Well, he's up against the guy who doesn't like garlic at the left side of the map. A Protoss player starting for Team MVP. His idea is, of course,
MVP Vampire.
He has, I'm serious, I actually just loaded up a picture of it to show you color. He has Goomba eyebrows, man.
He kind of does, but I have to say that his dentist is a lot better than Goomba's.
Yeah, Goomba's got that tooth sticking out.
Yeah, I don't know. You would need a hammer for that. I don't know. Well, Happy in that regard is a lot more lucky.
You know how to make a Goomba emoticon face? You press colon and then 4. The tooth sticks up, man. That's how you do it. That's how it's done, man.
No, actually, you have to do this one first.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Okay, so a greater than sign, then a colon, then a 4. Yeah, that's the Goomba emoticon face. Collar knows, man.
Thank God that we cleared that up.
Yeah. By the way, Happy is going gasless, whereas Vampire is going to do the 2 gas, 2 probe, you call it a Naniwa build if you want. And does not deny the probe scouts. The probe will see the no gas.
Yeah, probe is already in the main base, so Happy so far without refinery whatsoever. We have cross position on the map, guys, so no close. Therefore, no aggression with the Banshee too early in the game. And Happy didn't play too bad against Creator. His really heavy bio-oriented force wasn't just up to the challenge. It was not a threat to the huge army that we had for the Protoss player with Colossi and with Storm.
Yeah.
So what is Happy going to do in the second game?
He may do something similar. I'm really curious myself. Vampire with the double gas taken in such a way could decide to put double probes back into each one of those gas to make it 3 and 3 rather than 2 and 2. This is something that Vampire will not be able to stop Happy from seeing. This is one of the reasons why a lot of players do not take double gas in this matchup, just simply because it's so easy to be scouted.
And right now, what you would expect from Vampire is, of course, an early expansion as well, and following it up with either the double gate or, on the other hand, the robotics in order to scout earlier what exactly is going on. But with him having the scouting information, I think that the double gate after expansion is a lot more likely. He knows that there's not going to be a too fast attack, so that he won't have to face the Banshee, so he can delay his robotics a tiny little bit.
Yeah. He cut gateway production for a second to get that faster Nexus up, but he's still building the gas from that extra gas. That he mined earlier with the faster double assimilator, and little Marine run by here from Happy. With the bunker at place at his natural, he's going to have just enough to defend here. And then his 3 Marines are going to potentially do damage to a sentry that rallies out. He's going to rally out the Stalker instead. Normally, most players would get a sentry in this case, But even so, he's going to have to micro that Stalker. And a little bit more scouting information for Happy here. He's even going to... Oh, gets one probe, a second one maybe? No.
No, only one. The Marine dies. And, well, Happy... Oh, sorry, Vampire decides to not get the double Varix, double gateway, but he goes straight for the robotics. Has therefore the scouting information a little bit faster than he would have had if he added the gateways before the tech.
Using his Stalker on patrol position outside of the bunker as well to make sure that no scouting units actually get past him to the watchtower. The only unit that's on the map that could potentially scout for Happy is that SCV from earlier, which is actually smartly poised at his third base.
Scouting is going to be so important for Vampire. He needs those observers, and he will probably build more than one, because especially on Metropolis, there's so many areas where drop play can be successful. So as soon as Happy has his own starport and can build the Medivacs, there is a lot of danger for Vampire when it comes down to being caught off guard by a drop in his main base.
Very true. Metropolis is a map where we often see very late games if the early aggression fails because of the size of the map, because of how many bases are readily available. This could be an exciting long one. Happy is looking like, you know, he wants to put that drop pressure play on. With the factory coming out here, he will likely add a reactor, get the first 2 medevacs, and go with that push that we've seen so many players do, Marine King being the first player to really do it perfectly. No eBay yet, though, so he's not going to be hitting this with +1.
Yeah, the engineering bay for the upgrades is missing, and the observer will spot it very soon. It's already headed into the main base. The Protoss player with a slight lead in the Harvest account, and nothing unusual given that the Terran player has, of course, to upgrade both command centers into orbitals and will therefore lose the production time for the SCVs. And now straight ahead the transition for Vampire into the robotics bay. He wants to get those Colossi out as fast as possible. We'll see if he's going only for one without the extended thermal lance, and then starts to go into more of a Storm style, but this time I actually doubt it.
Yeah, my thoughts are the same as yours, in fact. Happy moves out with a bunch of Marines, but moves out too soon, does not have stim, and he may actually stim and fight these Stalkers when it's done, but it's not going to be done, and he knows he can't retreat. He has to fight here because otherwise the Stalkers will chase down and kill everything. This is a terrible position for Happy, but he's trying to make it work now. But you can just see here, against this many Stalkers, it's basically impossible to fight with naked Marines.
And he needs to micro a little bit better, though. He lost a lot of hit points here, so he didn't lose a Stalker, which is really important, but he decides that it's time to just walk back home. And there's the double forge for Vampire. And do we have the engineering bay? I kind of didn't see it. Yes, he has double engineering bay now, just finished on the production tab. So therefore now the +1/+1 has been started. And the Twilight Council, on the other hand, for Vampire, who now builds his second Colossus.
Yeah. And with the Twilight Council, looks like he's going to be using that primarily for Blink and additional upgrades, but I don't think he's going to get the Templar Archives just yet.
With the second Colossus that he's currently building, it's highly unlikely. He really invests into his robotics facility production, so the extended thermal lance upgrade should pop up on the production tab fairly soon.
But he hasn't done it yet, which is a bit surprising. Now he has the resource to do so. It looks like he's banking up to get the Templar Archives instead. I find this a little bit strange, but you can do the same type of style with only 2 Colossi. It's just a little bit weird to do so without range, because the range just makes the Colossi so much more worth it.
I think he's just delaying a little bit. That's exactly what we've seen earlier on in the games as well, and there's with the third Colossi, there's no doubt that he will add an extended thermal lance.
Yeah, he's going to absolutely need to do that. And since the eBays were done just slightly before Vampire's Forges, he will actually pass him in upgrades with Chrono Boost.
We also have the Armory now lined up very well with the upgrades for the +1/+1, so Happy is doing a decent job here with his macro as well. He has the third base already, something that Vampire just doesn't have.
Vampire has a lot of gas, but he's still not researching that range upgrade. He's limited more so by his minerals, and a lot of that is because he just sank 400 of them into a Nexus, but he continues to make Stalkers. Observer spotted and assassinated with a stim and scan.
And the missing extended thermal lance is actually starting to become an issue. If he doesn't start it soon, then it looks like he actually forgot about it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The thing is, if you forget extended thermal lance, then you never know until the fight, because that's the first chance you're going to get to see how much range your Colossus has. So that's like the most terrible realization that you could ever have.
We have a few Protoss players who will delay the upgrade quite significantly, but now +2/+2 has already been started, and it doesn't look like Vampire has any. Well, he doesn't. He has the minerals, he has the gas, but he does not start the upgrade. I really think he forgot about it.
He may realize now, as he saw those Colossus laser beams fire. Looks like he's not doing it, man. This is This is something that we've seen in the past. It's very rare, but sometimes forgetting the upgrade can cost you games as a Protoss player, especially if you have Colossi as the backbone of your army, and all of them are half as useful as they could be. Oh, that's embarrassing. We saw that call down supply.
Yeah. He was supply blocked there for a second, but the thing is that Happy in general is doing a decent job nonetheless. I mean, he's once again supply blocked, but the supply depots are going to finish very soon. This third base just was so much faster than Vampires. So the harvester count now 64 to 56 in favor of Happy. He has the mules as well. His economy just in general is much better. He has the double starport now. He has +1 attack line up, +2/+2 for the rest of his units. Here comes the drop that we have been talking about earlier. And Happy is looking really strong so far.
He is. The drop is actually being unloaded. He's going to try to attack by ground rather than going by air, which I find a little bit strange.
The Marines were getting fat, especially the Marauders have been gaining weight lately, so I think he wants them to run a little bit.
Yeah.
If you are spoiled, if you have medivacs readily available all the time, then you just get too lazy, and I think that's an issue. But here comes one Marine just trying to poke in a little bit, and the main force of Happy actually arrives, whereas the drop is still at the bottom right, which is really awkward.
This is an awkward situation as well with the units that could potentially run into the natural. A few of them do come in. There's an Immortal waiting to greet them. But weird movements by both players, I would say, and both of them not able to capitalize on either one's mistake because of the situation that we had. Those units unloaded, though, are just waiting for the Nexus to be made over here, just waiting for that fourth base, and the second it is, they're going to run in and take it. This Marine here spots for it.
We have a fair amount of Vikings, and now additional medivacs are being produced. Extended thermal land still not done, so Vampire definitely forgot the upgrade. It's going to be very important in the fight later on.
Yeah, sticking with only 2 Colossi right now, so yeah, it's going to be important, but it's not the end of the world for him as it could have been if he made like 5.
Didn't he get a third one earlier?
I'm pretty sure he did. I think he must have lost it. Yeah, or canceled it, one of the two.
Apparently, yeah, he might have just canceled it and decided to go into the Templar tech after all.
Yeah, he must have canceled it. He only has 250 resources lost. Actually, no, when you cancel something, you get all the resources back. I'm like, this is a unit. I'm like trying to be smart, but actually it does sound really dumb. But that also indicates that he did cancel it because he would have lost the Colossus resources. I think that's what I was trying to say. I'm like trying to save myself so hard, Keller. I don't know.
You want to shuffle?
Anyways. Shields are done right now for Vampire, who actually got shields rather than +3 attack, which is quite interesting considering he is going Archon heavy here. This army for Happy is nowhere near big enough, but this may trigger an attack with the medevac seat unloaded to the south.
Yeah, these units are still at the bottom right, and so far he didn't move them. He needs to prepare against this. The Viking count is now increasing heavily. He has only 2 Colossi though, so 13 medevac, 13 Vikings is not really the answer that he needs here. He needs a Ghost Academy, and he has it, but he does not have the amount of Ghosts that, well, I take that back. There are 8 of them.
A lot of shields on these Archons, and finally the medevacs do unload. He tries to warp in 2 Zealots, but that is nowhere near enough. He basically just donated them there. He's going to donate another one, and he's not turning around. He's just using these Zealots to buy time. +3 armor is not done, but it's about to be. This is a very difficult position for Happy to defend, but he does have the better concave. The problem is his third base.
He has a lot of Ghosts that he can use. At the bottom left, we have another warp in, but those Zealots are not enough, and here come the Vikings taking down the 2 Colossi immediately.
And the EMPs are good.
And look at this position for Happy at the choke point. It's much better than Vampires. He can't use his entire force.
Yeah, and the Immortals are trying to do damage here. The Archon's actually really the scariest part as his units are clumped up here. And he tries to retreat, but there's nowhere to run. I'm a little bit surprised by this. He wasted so much DPS. Now he's going to lose everything. A few more Zealots coming in here, but it's just not enough.
He lost the base at the bottom left as well, and this is DPS by the Marines is insane. He takes down Immortal after Immortal, and this one Archon cannot withstand the pressure from this army.
And Color, there's so many orbitals been taken for Happy around the map. Even though he lost the one at his third base, there's 2 extra bases for him to work with. He's going to make one into a planetary instead of an orbital, but he still has not dealt with these forces which have killed a bunch of gateways. He's just going to pick up and leave. He lost like 3 Marines total for killing a Nexus, a ton of probes.
He's nearly doubling his opponent's supply at this point, and the +3 attack upgrade will soon be done. Happy has a great force here, and now he unites his bio forces. The Archons are decent, but they are just not enough. They're not enough of them.
Yeah, not quite. Even with the Zealots here, it's not enough. He hits one more EMP. on those Archons. He's trying to buy time with the Zealots to escape, but a pathing mistake here actually will cost him an Archon and an Immortal. Decides to fight again with this forward pylon as a lot of Happy's units are in the low hit points. But with great kiting here, it's just impossible for Vampire to actually close the distance. Look at this split.
Yeah, Vampire tries to make the best out of a bad situation, but right now Happy is looking strong. The army supply at this point is in favor of Happy with 83 against 18. Where is this army though?
It's sitting back at the natural, and there's still those units from the medevac at the south.
Yeah.
He's just all over the map. He's got Vikings floating around, even War Prism defense.
If he gets these units together, then he can just end the game.
Exactly. Happy can just end the game whenever he chooses to. He's going to kill about 2/3 of Vampire's army supply and those 3 Archons. And now what's he going to do? He's got 2 bases at the top left that are about to be mining. And Vampire just he's got 2 Zealots and 2 Archons. A 3rd Zealot warps in. And that's all he's really got to speak of. 3 Zealots, 2 Archons, 2 more High Templar warping in, whereas Happy's got 34 Marines, 8 Marauders, 4 Ghosts, not to mention the Vikings and all the medevacs in the sky. GG.
The game is over. Happy takes a win here, is now on 1-1, as is Vampire. Do you think that it was a decision that he purposely chose to do it when he did not research extended lands? With the 2 Colossi, him cancelling the 3rd, I actually still think with the resource that he had that he did just forget about it.
Yeah, I think it was clearly a mistake. And as we looked at the 250 resources lost at that moment in time, means he definitely did cancel it, didn't get lost. Because if it were lost, it would have been, his resource loss would have been different. And that indicates, of course, that he canceled the 3rd Colossus, which means I think he may have realized, wait a minute, I didn't get Thermal Lance. I'm not going to have a timing here where I can use 3 Colossi well, so I'm going to make this switch. I'm going to cancel that Colossus, use those resources later. But even though Happy overmade Vikings, engaging at that location at the 3rd where all those Marines and Marauders are tightly packed and the Zealots couldn't fight was not enough. Even with +1 on those Archons, the Archons just died too quickly. The EMPs are really good, and Happy just outclassed him there through the mid-game.
The next game is going to be Creator against Supernova, both of them winning their first game. One of them is now going to lose the first match, so we'll find out who exactly it is. The map is going to be, well, I don't know.
It is, in fact, going to be a hidden map, Atlanta Spaceship.
There it is, yeah.
The official goal maps are hidden with numbers so that no one can join them. So, as a result, it was hidden to us until just now. Atlanta Spaceship is the map.
Pretty interesting map for this matchup right now. Creator Prime against Supernova, both of them looking very, very strong in their first match.
I would not want to face Creator in the late game, and Supernova showed an aggressive play against Killer with siege tanks. I wonder if he'll do something similar. This map is huge, though, very different than the last map we just saw. Let's find out what strategies the players are going to use. This is the GSL up and down matches with Caldor and Wolf.